Rise Mzansi has welcomed the decision by Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana to abandon a 0.5 percentage point VAT increase. The party says that the decision proves that South Africans were not happy with the proposal. Joining us now is Makashule Gana, who's Rise Mzansi's Chief Whip in Parliament. Very good evening to you, Makashule. Welcome to Full View. So almost every political party is claiming this moment as its own victory. So it begs the question, whose victory is it anyway?
It's the victory for the people of South Africa. This victory belongs to the people of South Africa. So ourselves as Rise Mzansi, in the work that we do, we are at all times representing South Africans. Even as you'll know, when the fiscal framework was passed, there was a lot of commentary that even when we said that no, this 0.5 is temporary and we are working to ensure that it does not become a permanent feature for South Africa. Many people laughed at us, they called us names and all sorts of things. But we continued understanding that we are doing this for the benefit of the South African people. So all this belongs to the people of South Africa. And as Rise Mzansi, we will continue to stand with the people of South Africa and to ensure that the economic hardships that they go through, we all go through. Where there's a space for it to be a relief, to be alleviated, then we need to be able to act accordingly.
How much room, though, is there for relief for the ordinary South African realistically? Because the Treasury has said in the statement that what we're going to now see is a shortfall, a revenue shortfall of about 75 billion rand in the medium term. That's 3 years. It's also in doing away or turning its back on the increase in value-added tax, said that even the proposals that had been put in place to offset that, for example, increasing or adding to the list of zero-rated items, that now also falls away.
So what we are going to do as Rise Mzansi in Parliament is to ensure that this reversal of the VAT increase does not affect the areas that are critical to cushion South Africans. We're talking about areas, especially the employment of doctors, the employment of teachers, the money that's supposed to go to PRASA, the increase in social grants. So this is something that even as we review the expenditure side of the budget, we will focus on to ensure that the South Africans that are going through some serious economic hardship, they don't get to be negatively impacted by this decision.
Treasury has very much given the impression that ultimately when the decision was taken to table the proposal to raise value-added tax, it was basically in a very tough spot where it needed to raise money, do so very quickly, and the other alternatives are too dreadful to bear. So what will happen now to make sure that those priority areas are not underfunded?
So one of the things that we have proposed, and when the like the appropriation comes, the adjusted, the one that the minister says that is going to work on, around the work that we believe the South African Revenue Services can do to increase their collection, to ensure that in the medium term we can plug that hole that will be left by not increasing the value-added tax. So that's something that we will continue to work on, but also our leader, who's a chairperson of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, in terms of the spending review, in terms of reducing the wastage, in terms of ensuring that every cent that the government spends goes to the services that benefit the people of South Africa. That will be the work that will be intensified. So we are very confident that when the Minister of Finance and Treasury comes before Parliament in October, they will then be able to present to South Africans a better outlook insofar as the finances of this country that will not take into account an increase in VAT.
But this U-turn does still leave the question, right? If what we're sitting with now, where VAT, an increase in VAT is completely off the table, why did it have to come to this? Why did it have to come to basically 2 months of back and forth, a budget presentation cancelled at the 11th hour, and what's happened in subsequent weeks? Why couldn't this, what's going to come next, have been the initial plan to begin with?
So what we will be doing in Parliament is to review the expenditure side of the budget to ensure that those critical spending that will improve the living conditions of South Africans, those continues. Obviously, there will be a reduction. We are not blind to that reality, that there will be a reduction in terms of some of the spending items. But we're quite confident that by October, when the minister presents his budget adjustment, that the performance of SARS will have increased, and then some of those items that will be sacrificed, which we continue to say it should not affect the PRASA, it should not affect the employment of teachers, the employment of doctors, the cushion that is given to the recipients of social grants. So these are some of the things that for us, we still want to see them, even with the adjusted budget.
My question really was why, if Treasury is able of crafting a budget that does not increase value-added tax, did it table one where it did so? Was it dishonest about the lack of easier options for the country?
I would not say it's dishonesty. We have engaged with Treasury, and that's why, and I continue to say this, what this decision means is that we have to review on the expenditure side of things, because this decision affects what I call the revenue component of the budget. What is now before us as parliamentarians is to review the expenditure side. So Treasury had presented a budget that included an increase in the revenue through the value-added tax. Now that this has been taken off the table, then it's up to us as Parliament, as parliamentarians, to ensure that what is taken from the expenditure side is not negatively affecting South Africans.
What is the political lesson here from the saga?
That we must continue consulting, talk to one another. I think we are going through this for the first time. And everyone, even in our conversation with the ANC, our conversation with the other political parties, there's an appreciation that this has been a learning curve for ourselves, all of us, especially 31 years into our democracy. It's happening for the first time that you have this, let's call it a situation where the budget it's not tabled, all this conversation, but it's important, it's critical.
Okay.
We are over the time that it's a foregone that what the Minister of Finance says will necessarily go. I think now what this has given is a teeth that Parliament needs to have in scrutinizing the budget, and we are going to exercise that role both in our committees but also in ensuring that this money that it's collected from South Africans goes to help build the economy for South Africa, so that the people of South Africa can get jobs, so that the people of South Africa don't have to go to bed hungry. There's enough food for everyone in this country.
Mzansi Chief Whip, Makashule Gana, thank you for your time this evening.